Imagine standing before an enemy, so massive, so terrifying, that entire armies trembled at the sight of him. For 40 days, no one dared to face him. But then, a shepherd boy stepped forward, with nothing but a sling and 5 stones. This is the story of David and Goliath, a tale of courage, faith, and how God uses the unlikely to do the impossible. The Philistines had gathered their forces for war against Israel. They stood on one hill, the Israelites on another, with the valley between them. The Philistines had a secret weapon, a champion unlike any other. His name was Goliath of Gath. Goliath stood over 9 feet tall. His bronze armor alone weighed 125 pounds. The shaft of his spear was like a weaver's rod, and its iron point weighed 15 pounds. He was a walking fortress. Every morning and evening for 40 days, he would step into the valley and shout his challenge. "Choose a man to fight me. If he kills me, we will be your servants. But if I kill him, you will serve us." His voice echoed through the valley, and no one answered. Fear had paralyzed the entire Israelite army. Meanwhile, a young shepherd named David had been sent by his father to bring food to his brothers in the army. David was the youngest of 8 sons, just a teenager. While his brothers were soldiers, David had been tending sheep in the fields. But when he arrived at the camp and heard Goliath's challenge, something stirred in his heart. Where others saw an unbeatable giant, David saw an enemy of God. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? David asked. His brothers were embarrassed and angry. "Why did you come down here?" they scolded. "Go back to your sheep." But word of David's boldness reached King Saul. When David was brought before the king, he said, "Let no one lose heart. Your servant will go and fight this Philistine." Saul tried to give David his own armor, a bronze helmet and a coat of mail. But when David put them on, he could barely move. "I cannot go in these," he said. "I am not used to them." So David took them off. Instead, he chose 5 smooth stones from a stream and put them in his shepherd's bag. With his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine. When Goliath saw David, he was insulted. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" he shouted. "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." But David replied with words that would echo through history. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands." As Goliath moved closer to attack, David ran quickly toward the battle line. Reaching into his bag, he took out a stone, loaded it into his sling, and hurled it with all his might. The stone flew through the air and struck Goliath in the forehead. It sank deep into his skull, and the giant fell face down on the ground. With no sword in his hand, David had triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. David ran and stood over Goliath. He took the giant's own sword and used it to cut off his head. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran. The Israelites pursued them with shouts of victory. One boy with 1 stone had changed everything. Not because he was the strongest or the best trained, but because he knew who fought beside him. David's story teaches us something profound. The giants in our lives, fear, doubt, impossible circumstances, they're loud, they're intimidating, they make us feel small. But here's the truth. God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. David didn't win because of his size, his strength, or his experience. He won because he knew that the battle belonged to the Lord. When you face your Goliath, remember, it's not about how big your problem is, it's about how big your God is. Step forward in faith. Take your stone and watch what God can do through someone who simply believes. What giant are you facing today?